Welcome back to Amazin But True, New York Mets podcast from the New York Post. Those highlights you heard courtesy of WCBS and our guy, Howie Rose. This is Jake Brown, Nelson Figueroa. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Happy Independence Day. Great movie, by the way, Will Smith. And no slapping of anyone's face going on in this episode of Amazin But True because the New York Mets stopped the presses, New York Post. Shut the paper down. They've won 2 in a row for the first time ever. No, for the first time since June 1st. It feels like ever. It's been over a month, Figgy, and they finally did it. And that is what is the good storyline that we needed for this episode because people have had enough of me ranting about mocktails, cocktails, taking Starling Marte's head falls off there again. He got an RBI, so his head's back on today. This was the good story. The Mets take 2 out of 3 over the Giants. J.D. Davis comes to town. Wilmer Flores comes to town. They win. Michael Conforto did not play, unfortunately, but this was exactly what the Mets needed. And of course, and we'll get into it, they should have swept as they blow it Friday. As Buck
never
Showalter,
satisfied. Never satisfied.
Every button he pushes, it's almost wrong every time. But they take 2 out of 3, and we'll start the show here 4th of July week with some positivity in Mets land.
Oh, isn't that a beautiful thing? It's been a long time since we've had reason to have positivity. But there are done a few things right. As Max Scherzer said in his last interview after his game, you have to hit well, you have to run the bases well, you have to field well, you have to pitch well, and that's how you win ball games. Sounds simple, right? It's a simple formula, but we finally got to see this team put some pieces together. And of course, there's been moments where you're hanging on your seat and you're just expecting the worst because that's what we're used to in the month of June. But June's over. They are the best team in baseball in July. I know it's only 2 days old, but listen, you want to start moving things in a positive direction. We kept saying this offense, was the bane of this team for the most part. They weren't cohesive. They weren't doing much. If it wasn't for one man, and one man only. Honestly, Tommy Pham, for all the gruff we gave him early in the season, he's caught fire since June 1st. Actually, June 3rd, the first game that he played in June. He is batting .366, 6 home runs, 20 RBIs, and a month to remember while everybody else was very, very forgettable, including the manager. Without him, just to think, this lineup would have scored really almost no runs, but he's one of the hardest contact rates in all of baseball. You see him up there for average exit velocity. He's just really figured out whatever was ailing him. And I think they talked about it during the broadcast. He had a change in his prescription for his contacts right at the beginning of the season and getting adjusted to it took a little time. Now he seems to be honestly, he's been a godsend for this team. I wish everybody else did a little something around him because it's been fun to watch him carry the team at 35 years young. But other pieces, again, we got Alonso going to the All-Star game and also trying to get his 3rd home run derby title. It was good to hear that there'd be some representation in a Mets uniform. But
don't forget head performance coach Dustin Clark. They do have the head performance coach, but you were a baseball player. You could tell me what the hell that job entails more than I can, but it'll be Dustin Clark and Pete Alonso hand in hand in All-Star Weekend.
Well, Dustin Clark is actually what he does is, this used to be strength and conditioning. He's the performance coach. He goes out there and stretches these guys before the games and helps them throughout. So Dustin's actually a very funny dude. I remember we did a clinic for the Special Olympics down in Port St. Lucie, and it's some of the players, some of the front office staff, and we're hanging out and we're doing some stretching, and Dustin is going into full major league stretches with like burpees with Special Olympic kids, and I'm looking at him and I'm shaking my head like no dude, burpees would not be good. They're just going to be, bumping into each other, trying to do these moves. I'm like, can we keep it simple? Just like touching your toes. And he's like, oh yeah. Got to dumb it down. Got to make sure that we can all do this together. I'm like, Dustin, I know you're a pro, but sometimes you can't, it'd be like me throwing 90 miles an hour at an event for kids to have fun at. So it was, he's a good dude. again, the only two All-Stars we have, which is crazy to think. But
you got to dumb it down for me with burpees. They had me doing burpees on the City Field scoreboard, and I couldn't move for a week after that. The first time in my life, this is maybe in the first season. I forget when it was, but it might have been before the podcast existed. But they put me on the scoreboard. It was the game that was like a 3-hour rain delay. It was Mets Marlins. Again, don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I remember, well, probably chicken parm because I had it twice this weekend. It was the game. It was at midnight because I remember it was midnight Mets night, and I had like a ton of sake before. Was definitely drunk, and was in jeans. Was not in the right burpee attire, and I was burping all right. I was burping for the next week. I couldn't move. Burpees are very difficult. So Dustin, if he's ever conditioning me, I ain't doing the burpees either. So we'll just do normal, little. And yes, you did Photoshop those pictures of me that I did tweet out at the gym, and I did go to the gym. It wasn't that part wasn't Photoshop, but
we're gonna have to post those. We're gonna have to post those to let people see.
I
what
tweeted
you look like
them last
gym.
week. I tweeted them, but I'll get another selfie. Maybe I'll go today and get another one. You could do another one with Pete Alonso since he is the Mets lone all-star. So good for Pete, and he had a just piss missile on Sunday night, giving the Mets some insurance. Yep. Yeah, like you said, Tommy Pham, last 7 games, 520, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. That's the video games. You can't even hit 520. So that's really a good week, and a guy who continues to raise his trade stock. But hey, if the Mets go on some kind of magical July run here, maybe you might be forced to keep Tommy Pham if he keeps hitting like this and you win. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's a 2-game win streak. And it was good to see because it really should have been a sweep, like we said. Friday night, he finally uses Roberts. It's like he's teasing us now. Maybe that'll be our word in the Nelson Figueroa Spanish Academy a little bit later in the show. It's been a while since we did that. Maybe that's the word because it's like, okay, now use Roberts in the 8th, which is like, I guess you could have went elsewhere there, but they went with Robertson and Figgy. A rare Alonso error. Talk about what he does offensively. He's been solid defensively. Makes the bad throw, bobbles it, makes the bad throw, walk, and then a 3-run homer by this guy Bailey, who's just like become a star, like this unknown catcher that becomes a star. And then Marte, they had to give him 2 days off after his blunders hitting that made me rip this head off on Thursday night. Friday, trying to steal a base, and for the first time in like a year, the Mets get thrown out in the base pass. And it was the worst timing in the 9th inning. And you felt Friday like this is going to be a rough weekend. Here we go again. So the team did show some resiliency in winning over the weekend. And, it was a little alarming though Sunday, Figgy. You see David Peterson go 4 innings. Like, I was waiting after the game, and I couldn't see much with Elon Musk's new Twitter limit ban. You only see like 2 tweets, and then you're banned for the day. It's like, all right, I'm done with Twitter today. Let me go outside and touch grass.
Touch grass.
But like 61 pitches, and I know
his
command was off, but yeah. What's different? Touching grass?
Isn't that different for you?
Touching grass, going outside and touching grass. Yes, that is very different. I'm on. What are you talking about? Snoop Dogg over here? So it's not 420. But 61 pitches, I was like, here we go. Brigham, Leone, Brigham, who's due for a phantom IL trip at this point. His ERA raised a full 2 runs in the month of June. He started June with a 3.26. He's now up to a 5.16. Jeff Brigham, you talk about his innings, only 32. He's basically hit that already. He might be due for a phantom shoulder inflammation trip for the next couple of weeks and sit him through the All-Star break. But scared me pulling Peterson there. I know you got the day off Monday, but that was a little alarming.
No, and that's even worse than alarming because, again, you are pulling a guy who is doing a fantastic job. He had a great start, the first start. He's cruising, 61 pitches through 4 innings and only 1 run. He's cruising. He's in command. He's keeping the other team down. There's a very famous phrase, and I've probably said it a dozen times on this show. You don't want to wake a sleeping dog. Let the sleeping dog lie. Don't let the other team get some life because now they took out Peterson. He's been in command. But no, he inexplicably for 61 pitches takes him out. And now you've got a mix and match with a bag of misfit toys. Dominic Leone has, 20, I think he has 21 games, and he's been here for a little bit over a month. We don't care about Dominic Leone, apparently. We're just going to throw him as much as we can. And he's done a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong, but there's going to come, law of diminishing returns. Brigham, same thing. Brigham was the guy going into June. You're like, all right, we might have found something here with this kid. You look up and now we're like, oh my God, he's running on fumes. He can't, his breaking ball's not breaking, his fastball's not exploding through the zone anymore. And it doesn't matter about what the velo says, right? The radar gun could say 93 miles an hour, but it's the life on the fastball. There's this whole thing about spin rates. As he throws, he has an explosive fastball and then throws a good breaking ball off of it. And what I loved about him is that he has, a set of cojones where he's not afraid of challenging people. And he does a good job normally, but I think he's at his rope end because 32 games has been his career high in a season. He's at 32 games now, and we're not even at the All-Star break. So, yes, he needs some downtime. So knowing all of this and knowing you have an off day, ride that guy, ride Peterson as long as you can. Go to 100 pitches with him. He might get you into the eighth. And then it's not as worrisome to have to get 5 other guys. And actually with 6 other guys, 7 pitchers, I think, were used. That's something that shouldn't be happening, especially when you're trying to win the series and you're in command. And if it wasn't for, Alonso giving them some breathing room, look what happened in the 7th again to make it a hairier situation.
Listen, the only good pitcher in the Mets bullpen lately has been Grant Hardwick. In 6 games, got 1 ERA. He's been great. And, he was great again on Sunday. But,
yes,
yeah, Leone's been here since early May. So, to be fair, he's been here 2 months. But, yeah, I mean, he's basically being trotted out there almost every other day. I mean, you look at his game log, and he goes June 2nd, the 4th, 7th, and 13, 14, 16, 18, 21, 20. So, he's pitching all the time. And again, we've said this is an issue with the Mets. Like, who are these guys coming out of the pen? And they won 2 in a row, but they did it scarily. And David Robertson's coming back down to earth here, and you worry about that too, because again, talk about trade bait. He's very much atop the list. Outside of if Scherzer's traded, of course, but after that, it's Robertson and then Pham, and in that order, basically guys who are worth something. Vogelback's not going to get you much, but anyways. It was nice to finally win a few games. And, Brandon Nimmo this week found a power stroke. He was hitting a homer every day, It felt like. And I think that's important because Nimmo, I felt, was hitting a rough patch and with the base running blunders and then dropping balls in the field. I think Brandon Nimmo needed this powerful week to remind us, he's the guy who got 150 million. And there's a reason for it. It's not just the defense and being able to get on base and draw walks. He's a guy who could hit 20, 25 homers when he's on. And this week was, a good, bring us back to reality moment of why, he's your franchise center fielder for a while.
Yeah, one of the things you love to see is his not just the power stroke, but the power stroke the other way, left center field, hitting the ball to left field with power and authority. And I think that's great for Brandon because it reminds him how good of a hitter he is, able to let the ball get a little bit deeper, recognize pitches a little longer, and still put a good aggressive swing and be able to drive the ball out the ballpark. We used to talk about Michael Conforto was always at his best, hitting the ball the other way, right? He would hit a line drive over the shortstop's head and would carry all the way to the wall. And you're like, man, this guy's got a special kind of swing. Brandon Nimmo, for a little while, it seemed like he was, jumpy, just trying to be overly aggressive with pitches instead of just taking what the pitcher gives you. You can't try to pull an outside pitch not often and have success. And so to see him kind of sit back, relax, and let his hands go, it was very good to see. I'm very encouraged by what I saw with Brandon Nimmo. You saw him kind of waking up with the bat finally, and just McNeil as well. We hadn't seen extra base hit out of McNeil in over a month or something like that. And now he's hit a few in a row in these games. And so these guys are starting to wake up slowly but surely. And the pitching staff, we saw Verlander have another good outing. With him, it's been good, bad, good, bad, good, bad kind of thing. But now he had a really good outing. So encouraging again to see him. I think Robertson is fine. Again, Pete Alonso making that error shouldn't have muddled it as much, but again, when you have these guys you don't know, a Patrick Bailey, he just kind of tried to throw a fastball by him there in that situation, and it was at the top of the zone, and he was ready for it. I think more times than not, when you're a veteran pitcher and it's a young hitter, he's sitting dead red. He's looking for a fastball. He's gonna be aggressive early in the count, and so you try to go pitch backwards, throw him some soft stuff early, hard stuff late. And in that situation, the guy has a chance to tie the game with a home run. And we saw that one. And there was another one during the week where you can't, or take the lead actually with a home run. You can't give in that situation. Use your best stuff, use your breaking balls, use your cutter. That his cutter has been so good all year long. And then it seemed like once that home run was hit, yeah, he was locked in again, right? But you can't take a second off to be like, it's all right. I'm almost hitting Wilmer Flores twice with a fastball. Why is everybody aiming at Wilmer Flores? Did you see that? Inexplicably, guys who are good command guys. Poor Flores walks in there and gets high fastball after high fastball at his dome. And it's not like they're trying to do it. It's just crazy. Like it's not normal.
You could say that they're not. You could say that they're not friends with him. How does it go again? I want to sing it, but then Zoom might like stop us from singing because they hate music. Apparently, every time
I'll be there for any form.
There it is. I'll be there. Apparently, they aren't there for Wilmer Flores. They're beating him.
So the Mets West, it's been fun to see too, and also JD Davis makes that Darren Ruff deal look so good.
God, like imagine like this. We would have never heard of Daniel Vogelback if JD Davis is here because he's forcing himself in the lineup every day the way he's playing. And he's playing third. So the times you're not, you're pinch hitting with Danny Mendick, like I screamed about on Thursday night. I mean, you weren't on that show, Figgy.
I listen, when I'm watching the game and I see him come up, all I could think about is you and your not
about
obsession.
What? Me yelling, Mendick.
Yep, exactly. That's another name that pops up. And all I'm sitting here is going, we had a guy named Mauricio at one point in time in the minors, a stud athlete. And you look at Ellie De La Cruz with Cincinnati and what he's done to change,
first place.
Change what they were doing. They were middling at best. And all of a sudden he comes in, it's a breath of fresh air. If their pitching staff didn't suck so bad, and even over that winning streak of the 12-game winning streak, like their pitching staff had pitched to like a 4.3 ERA as a staff. And that's not good. They were winning because they were scoring 6.5 runs a game. So while they were winning games, the pitching was just enough. But Ellie De La Cruz just took the baseball world by fire. And to see what that did for that organization, I'm sitting there going, we got a guy just like him, literally just like him, not just like him. They played in Lycée together in winter ball, won a championship together, and the MVP of the winter ball season was Mauricio. So this is a kid who was hot coming into spring training, looked great in spring training. I said he had an outside chance to make this team. Watch for him. They left him in the minors, and all he's done is rake, perform. They put him at 3 different positions. They don't know where to put him. I don't care where you put him. Quite honestly, hide him somewhere. Make him the DH if you want. But this kid, athleticism, his bat, his speed, all 3 of those things need to be in this lineup. And I don't need to see Danny Mendick coming off the bench to pinch hit for anybody.
Well, that's the argument, Figgy, that people will have is the fact that do you call Mauricio up and do the Buckism where he plays once or twice a week and then he's a bench bat the rest of the week? Are you hurting or stunting his development having him here and not giving the at bats like he would get in AAA? That's the debate. That's a $64,000 predicament.
But if you're going to use him in any fashion, like as a DH, or be able to give some of those other guys a day off of being a DH, so McNeil can DH one day and he can play second base. There's a multitude of ways to work him in there, but work him in there. Give him an opportunity. I don't want you to call him up just to have him sitting around like you did to Vientos. Like Vientos he's only 23 years old. He needs to play as well. When he went back down to AAA, they're like, oh, we love what we see out of him. Great attitude. Yeah, because you know what he knows? He knows what I knew every time I went up and down and up and down. You are playing for the other 29 teams when you're in AAA. You're not playing for the team that's your parent club. You're playing for the other 29 teams when you're down there. So what you're doing is putting on a showcase to say, I don't belong in AAA. There's nothing else I can do. I can't physically put myself somewhere, but while I'm here, I'm going to put on a display to show you that I do not belong here. I'm in a different class. I'm in a different level. That was one of the reasons they used to call me the king of AAA, or king of quadruple A, they used to call it. King of quadruple A. And I would just go out there, and I had a lot of veteran guys who told me the same thing. Don't worry about what's happening in your organization. There's eyes everywhere. And if you can pitch, if you can hit, if you can play this game of baseball at a higher level, you're going to get an opportunity. So I would save that for Vientos. And for Mauricio, I mean, he's younger and he's been a part of this organization where you felt like, they had at the time Jimenez, they had, Rosario, then they went and traded to get Lindor. But before that, he was probably fourth fiddle on the totem pole of shortstops. So they were always trying to find a way to get him in there because they felt like he was going to develop and grow. And now he's finally his body is now developing where he's got muscles now and he's filling out and he's hitting home runs. The power's there. I just hate to see and I used to be old school where the guy has to go through the ups and downs of the minor leagues. No, not anymore. You know what people want? You want exciting, athletic, young players to help push your organization and help grow your organization. And if you want to talk about what do they have, they don't have much after these guys that you've already heard their names. They don't have much after these guys. And so it's not going to happen in this season. It's not going to happen next year when you replenish this minor league organization and bring in all these prospects. But what has to happen is if you're playing for now and you're playing to win and you're playing to keep these old guys that you signed up, like a Scherzer, a Verlander, Tommy Pham, if you're playing to keep these guys together to see what they can do, because, these guys are on more than just this season's deal. They're on several years. If you want to keep this and you thought this could work, you have to do everything you can to make it work. I would hate to see you get close to the deadline and it's like, do we pull the trigger or not? Let's go trade these guys away. And you blow it all up for what? And you still don't have Mauricio getting his time. And you had a resource and an asset like Mauricio and Vientos down there, and they're doing nothing, but you're calling up, guys that are mediocre, at best and trying to see what they can do, or you're not caring if they fail, you can get rid of them, right? You put Danny Mendick on waivers and he clears because he's batting something. Nobody's going to care about that. But you're not going to want to send these guys up and down and be like, they can't handle the big leagues because you only let them bat once a month.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have a hit, so he's batting, over they call me the king of Double-A, and that's not pitching. It's the Double-A batteries I've stocked from my remote controls in my apartment. I hate when
I thought that was Alcoholics Anonymous.
No. Well, after this weekend, a lot of high noons, a lot of happy dads, and not talking about you. It's an actual drink. It's called Happy Dad. You might have to try that one. It's a good branding for you. Jake Brown, Nelson Figueroa, Amazin But True podcast, New York Post, Andrew Hartz and Nick Guzman with us as well. Happy belated birthday to Andrew Hartz, who celebrated his birthday Saturday and now sounds like Hartz. Can you just say something in the Batman voice? Can you, in the background, just say you're gonna love me in your current voice right now?
I will not. No, Jake.
Never. I just want to hear.
Why does Bruce Wayne sound like Batman?
Yeah, producing Bruce Wayne. That is another Batman movie. Whenever I think of Batman, I think of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Batman vs. Robin. And
then you have issues.
Please learn it well, or it'll be the chilling sound you'll do.
Then you have issues, because if you think of Batman and that's the movie you think of, you have issues.
I mean, that's a classic and not as well rated. It's like Sister Act 2 got 17% reviews, but Sister Act 2 is arguably better than just had a stroke. Stroker Act Stick. Sister Act 1. So Sister Act 1 got like 70%. Anyways, the Mets play the Diamondbacks this week. They go to Arizona, where you started your big league career.
Yes.
Is it that hot out there? Like, because it's a dome, right? So in the stadium, it's a little AC. Like, how does it feel inside the stadium as someone who's never been there?
The stadium's comfortable, very, very comfortable. The dome is usually put up because the first year that they had the grounds crew, they had the dome open during the day when they would water the field, and they killed the grass and burnt the grass before July. Like they just didn't know how to keep things green and lush. So now they realize just keep the dome closed. They don't run the AC all the time, so it's not a huge electrical bill. They run it probably about 6 hours before the games start, so it's a comfortable feeling in the dome. You're not ever going to feel what it feels like to play in Tucson. And wide open with tumbleweeds rolling in the outfield because it's so damn hot. But yeah, and everybody says it's a dry heat. Yes, a dry heat means turn on the hair dryer and blow it in your face and tell me how that feels, because that's what it feels like if you roll down the window in your car and you drive. That's what it feels like.
I don't think I'd survive. Like, I sweat in New York just stepping outside of the bodega. Yeah. I think I'd be found on the ground. Like, they'd have to call the EMS like as soon as I step outside in Arizona. Maybe that's why I haven't been there. I went when I was like 12 with my family. I've still never been to Vegas since I was a kid, so I'm trying to do that this year for Jets Raiders, hopefully, as they play each other out there. But I don't think I'd last. But speaking of a guy who's hot in hot water, fan on the field Sunday. So I was trying to get the actual fan who fell on the field on. There was a video of TikTok, and then like the girlfriend said, I'm his girlfriend, DM me. So I'm trying to set it up. So maybe it'll come out later today. We'll see. But he falls in the field, but doesn't get like tackled or anything. And in the video, you see like his friends or something like tossing napkins. That's what I saw on TV. If you're looking on TV, you see him like holding napkins to his face as if he had a bloody nose or something. I don't think he was bleeding or anything. I think he may have just fell and used that as an act and said, hey, I fell over. An inning later, fans are jumping on him. He's still in the game. So the first man I've ever seen go on the field, not get thrown out, not get arrested, but rejoin. And not only rejoin, he was on the party deck with unlimited beers. I mean, the guy was living the life. He gets back in and is drinking beers. So that's why I wanted to get him on. And we'll see if we make it happen. But love those kind of stories. Fan getting away with falling on the field. Be careful out there, folks. You know, with drinking and falling on fields. The Mets will take on the Diamondbacks this week, who are in first place, 15 games over 500 in this just unbelievable year with a team. You know, even real baseball fans could not name half of their roster, Figgy. And, you know, they're throwing out guys this week like Tommy Henry, and we know Zach Davies, but Nelson, like not Jeff Nelson. They're just throwing out all these guys we barely know. And it's these ragtag bunches. You know, it's not the teams with the payrolls like the Mets. Look, the team Mets play next, the Padres in San Diego, have not been good either. Talked about as the other biggest disappointment in the sport. The Mets and Padres will hold hands as baseball's biggest disappointment, but it's these ragtag bunches like the Diamondbacks. You know, the Braves aren't really a ragtag bunch. The 8-game win streak, they do not lose. But a lot of ragtag teams you would never expect are winning, like the Reds, like the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, there's 4 teams that were finished 4th place in their divisions last year who are either in 2nd or higher this year. So you have the Miami Marlins.
Shocking as well. It is a good one.
Who they also have a negative run differential like the Mets, where it's not a huge negative run differential, but yet it is a negative run differential, and yet they're playing well over 500 baseball. You have the Pirates for a while were in first place in the Central until the Reds came and stormed baseball. You have who was it in the West was Arizona. That came up and doing what they're doing, and there's a
San
team
Fran.
Well, San Fran finished in 2nd place last year. But the Dodgers are that whole division is upside down. There's so many teams that are playing, and it's it's one of those things where the economics of baseball are they had star players, they made trades, they did this, they got younger, and they continue to get younger. You realize that the Mets' average age is the oldest in baseball at 31.5 years old. 31.5 on average is what these guys are. And when you look around baseball on the other end of it, and teams like the Diamondbacks, and their average age has got to be somewhere like 24, 25 for the whole team. And so you like to have veterans, yes, because veterans have done it before, but man, it's refreshing to see these guys who are playing and they're hungry and they're exciting and they're, they'll take the extra base, they'll be aggressive, they'll do the little things, they'll scratch and claw just to find ways to win games because, that's how they do it. It's not about, what you've been working on in the cage and you take it to a game where mental health breaks, and then coming back and you hit a couple of home runs and you feel like you're fixed. We've seen too much of that with this team where everyone needs there's a special box, it seems, for all our players, right? This guy needs this guy needs that, this guy's 40, this guy's 39, this guy needs an extra day because he's from Japan. It's too much. If you're Buck Showalter and you've been through this month of June, how many times can you say we need to play better? How many times can you try and be the fall guy? How many times can you sit there and say, I have to be better and not be the one to blame? But not want to, toss all the blame on your players. At some point you do, because otherwise you're the one that's going to get fired. The players aren't going anywhere. And all the blame comes back to you because you sit there and you accept it. What it sounds like is that you're accepting less than their best efforts, less than best execution, not effort. Let's not get that twisted. It's not an effort question. They're efforting every day, but it's the level of execution that you expect. I'm tired of hearing about the back of the bubblegum card. I'm tired of hearing about this guy has done it for a long time. What is he doing now? How are they doing now? Because what they did in the month of June, can't change it. You can just crumble it up and keep moving. And that's what I hope that they're starting to do here in the month of July. Put some things together that change the way that this team is feeling defeated. You got the interviews are getting more and more hostile between Verlander trying to laugh it off every time he says something like, we need to play better. We got to get going. Like it's getting late. And he's kind of laughing to himself because what else can you say? You've seen everything happen on the wrong side of things. And Scherzer, he goes out there and he makes one bad pitch and it changed the game, winds up tying the game, right? And you're sitting there going, man, this is unreal. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Murphy's Law. And maybe it's a curse of Daniel Murphy. But now that they've passed June, they're into July. They still have the pieces in place that they can be competitive. Will they catch the Braves? Not a chance in hell. But you've got to get yourself back into the playoff race. And it's a catch-22 because if you're close, you're not going to trade these guys away, right? So I'm very – that's my biggest concern is one way or another you wanted to be in this playoff thing so that if you did have to blow it up and trade, great. I'll say one other team and then we'll move on. The Angels with Shohei Ohtani, and we're trading Ohtani. Everybody's going to get Ohtani. Ohtani's not going anywhere. And the reason he's not going anywhere is because they're winning. And they're so close in the wild card, whether they're the second or third wild card or they're right on the cusp.
They're two out right now, two out of the third wild card.
That is the worst possible position to be in if you are the ownership and front office of the Anaheim Angels, right? Because now you can't make that trade. You make that trade and you might it's telling your fans that you're not going to make it. You don't make the trade and he walks. You've had nothing to show for Shohei Ohtani for the 5 years that you had him, 6 years that you had him. So it's a catch-22 in that situation. And it's the same thing for the Mets. You spent a lot of money to have these veteran guys come in and you expected a level of performance. Buck Showalter can't sit around and just, hope for it to turn around anymore. He's got to start, grinding it out and letting people know that either their performance is unacceptable and, they won't play unless they, play better. That's it.
I'm going to grip my mic to tell you I mean something serious. The clock has turned. The calendar has turned to July. The time is running out. It's time, Mets, to go on a run. It's time to make a push for the wild card. And it begins in Arizona on the 4th of July. Do it for America. Do it for your fans. Do it for the new chicken parm hero in the Caesar Club restaurant.
Knew it.
Do it for the sake that churro nachos have left the building like Elvis. It is your time to turn it around. No more messing around. 2-game win streak is fun and all. It's good to win 2 in a row. String together 9 out of 10. I don't care if you lose Tuesday and then win 7 in a row. Give me 9 out of 10 and get to 500. If not, right after the All-Star break, by mid to late July, be 500. Be within 5 of the wild card, and then it'll get interesting. Right now, Figgy, still 8 back. You're still a long ways to go and a lot of teams in front of you and a tough schedule. You look at their second half, outside of playing like the Nationals, who are never easy win, they don't have easy games. Like they play Baltimore, who you thought would have been bad, and they're good. They play the Angels, who we just talked about, thought they'd be bad. They're good. You play the Pirates, who it's a house of horrors every time you go to Pittsburgh. And you play the Pirates. The Pirates are not terrible. They're Cincinnati, all these teams ahead of you. It's not going to be an easy road, but it's time to get serious. Now you got a win streak. You know how it feels to win 2 in a row for the first time in a month.
Yeah, it's not a winning streak. That's just winning 2 in a row. 3 is when he started.
For the Mets, it's a win streak. Now let's make it 3 in a row for America on Tuesday. And it won't be Jose Quintana this week as we thought. He'll get one more rehab start. He went 2 2/3, 64 pitches, had a couple of walks in the third. So they'll give him one more start, and then he'll likely join the Mets right after the All-Star break. So David Peterson will get one more shot. Luckily, the last 2 he's been good, although, like we said, he should have went longer. Fireworks, 4th of July. We'll get to the Spanish Academy. Overrated, in my opinion. I think people are absolutely...
Whoa. Hold on. My Spanish Academy is overrated? Is that what you just
Fireworks
said?
overrated.
Oh, fireworks. Okay, let's be
fireworks.
clear. Vamos a poner claro.
People are like shooting themselves and then shooting their children with fireworks and like they're killing people. Like, and they're so loud that it's, I was with a friend of the puppy and like they were like, yeah, I can't, I can't leave my puppy alone these next couple of days. I'm like, I guess, because they go crazy on the fire. People are so irresponsible with fireworks, and I like when they're over. Like, yeah, they're fun. Like Shea used to have them the best. City Field fireworks kind of suck. But now they shoot them out. I'm reminded of them because they shoot them out at the end of games every time they had a homer in center field. Hart's got a good gif of it when I guess they first started doing it. They've added it. It's a cool ambiance, but I'm sorry, Figgy. I think I'm fireworked out. Maybe I'm getting old. But like I was never one to like go to the fireworks store and like shoot sparklers and like I always worried I'd JPP. I shook JPP's hand and blew his fingers off at a party last year, and it was a strange experience shaking his hand because it was like
they do the thing where it's Happy 4th of July because the thumb has been blown off.
Dap me up.
Happy 4th.
What do you think of that? Overrated? Underrated?
No,
or
definitely not overrated. Listen, you wait for this one time a year where you're able to do it illegally, because they're selling it at grocery stores, but it's illegal. I'm very confused by that whole thing. But yes, it teaches responsibility. That's what it teaches. So when you are a kid, remember you start out with sparklers. They light the sparkler for you, and you write your name in the air, and oh, this is cool. And then they give you a firecracker, just one. Light it, run away, pop. And then all of a sudden they start giving you these things that just a whole box of, fireworks that go up, and Roman candles where you can shoot projectiles at each other, bottle rockets. It's about responsibility and teaching. There's a right way and a wrong way. If you put your eye in front of a projectile that can fly at you, you might lose an eye. So you hope that you're teaching kids and adults responsibility, and there's drinking involved. But man, the internet gets really scary and funny all at the same time when you see these videos leading up to July 4th. I love fireworks. I've been part of fireworks every July 4th. I'm usually playing baseball. I'm usually somewhere on a baseball field. And so there's always a celebration. You get to sit down on the field. And the game is over, and you hang out and watch the fireworks going off. I think
they're beautiful at a baseball game. I just don't like when I'm in the streets and random people at a baseball game. There's an ambiance, but it's gotten so insane that literally wherever you go around this time of the year, especially on Tuesday, literally just people in the middle of the road or just shoot. I'm like, this is Queens. You're not in freaking Vermont right now. Like you have human life by you. You don't have like cows around you. Like it's just a weird way to live. But I do agree.
Shout out to cows.
Shout out to cows. Let's go now to the Nelson Figueroa Spanish Academy. Iggy, what you got for me this week?
Buenos días, mis estudiantes favoritos, aparte de Jacobo Café. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Figueroa Spanish Academy. You are my favorite students. Jake Brown is just here.
I was in the Delta Club with a Mexican lady I was with, and she was gonna be bad. There was she was speaking, so it was kind of embarrassing. So there was a Giants fan there waiting for a drink, whatever. And she's pretending like she doesn't know English to me. And it was kind of embarrassing because she's like speaking all Spanish to me. And I was trying to pick out words from my lessons at the academy. And I know like one out of every like 10 words I understood. I'm like artificial or like something. But the rest of it, I was like, oh, no habla inglés. So yeah, I'm trying to slowly pick up every day new Spanish from the people around me.
Oh, and this is why we started this. We started this because you were going to be around Met fans. You're in Queens. There's a multitude of ways you can use Spanish to enhance your life other than ordering food. So first word we're going to start with is what the Mets are. They're a tease, right? You got this 2-game winning streak. They even, Friday's game when you're sitting there thinking they have a chance to win it, and Robertson's in, and bam, you get punched right in the gut. So one way to say tease is a rompecabezas.
Is that the Daddy Yankee song, Rompe? Yes, I know that one.
Rompe. See?
Rompe. How does it go? Oh, wait, we can't
Yeah,
zoom.
I know you did not just go.
Rompe.
Rompecabezas.
Rompe cabas. Rompe calabasas. Rompe cabeza.
Cabezas.
Cervezas.
Cabezas.
Rompe.
No, rompe.
Rompe.
Cabezas.
Cabezas.
No, not cabezas. Good God. Why do you put the accent on anything but the right one?
Rompe cabezas.
That's better. So rompecabezas. That's the literal translation is kind of like a head scratcher, like they'd say about puzzling. Rompecabezas. You tease. You make me think.
Rompecabezas. How do you say cocoa butter?
Mantequilla de coco.
Mantequilla de coco. Oh, I like that. All right, what else you got? Teas. I'll take a C+ on that one.
We had teas. What was another one you want? We've done fireworks before.
Well, let's artificials, right? Something.
Fuegos.
You
know that? That's another Pitbull song.
Fuego. Everyone knows fuego. It's just straight fire. Straight fuego.
Fuegos artificiales.
Fuegos artificiales.
Oh my! What in the hell speech impediment do you have?
Bit of Italian ice on Saturday. Very good, Dolce de Bell. Fuegos artificiales. That is. Why can't I say that?
What is wrong with you?
Fuego de artificiales. That is a tough word.
No, it's not.
Artificial.
Hey, Batman, can you give me one real quick?
Fuegos. God almighty. See?
He's dead as a Gary Coleman right now.
Fuegos de artificiales.
No day. Just fuegos
artificiales.
See?
It sounds like he's saying Cialis. This is
that's what I'm saying. This man with his voice is selling. He's selling penis pills right now.
I don't use the P word on this program. I had to do a Blue Chew.
Of all things, the penis. I can't say penis, but you can.
No, we can't. That's we're gonna bleep that out.
What?
I had to do a Blue Chew read once, and the read ended with "just chew it and do it." And it was a great slogan that they had that stuck in my head for a while. Anyways, Articia fish fillets.
No. Oh God.
Artificialis.
No.
Artificialis.
No. Artificial.
Artificial.
You got me messing up.
Hey, welcome to the English Academy.
You're awful.
Artificialis.
No, it's not Articia.
Artificialis. Our intern is Spanish, so maybe he could teach me better than you can. Nick,
Goozy, please help him.
If you're in the building, Nick, let's hear you say artificialis.
Fuegos artificiales.
That sounded like when you press the button next to the translation.
What is Guzman? Is that Puerto Rican?
My dad's family's Ecuadorian.
So we got Ecuador and Puerto Rico.
He only knows two things. He knows Puerto Rican and Dominican. That's it. Or Mexican.
I know. I know Mexican. I know Ecuadorian too. We go around the world. I'm Mr. 205. I'm Mr. Worldwide.
It's actually
people never understood that. I know it's 305. My birthday is February 5th, so 205. And Ruben Studdard wore the 205 jersey, who I loved. Is Birmingham's area code, so 205. Birthday February 5th, 205.
Are you following this, Hearts?
I'm the minor league Pitbull. What do you not understand about that? I'm Mr. 205 instead of 305 because my birthday is February 5th. You don't get it?
Yeah, but then you gave me 6 other things of a reason why you're a bad superhero. I don't know. I'm done.
Anyways, that is the Nelson Figueroa Spanish Academy. Do you want to close with July win streak? Do you know how to say win streak in July or?
Oh yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Una racha de victorias en julio.
That's literally another world that we just entered.
Una racha de victorias.
We're in the metaverse right now. This is the metaverse. This isn't the real universe. Say it again.
Una racha de victorias. No, what is
Una racha?
Una racha de victorias.
I hurt because the left side of my teeth. I couldn't eat my chicken parmesan on the left side. I got to go to the dentist this week. Una racha
de victorias.
De victorias, like Victoria's Secret.
Oh my God. Victories. And julio.
And there's more. Good Lord. This is the longest phrase ever. Una victoria
No. Una racha
Una racha
de victorias
de victorias
en julio.
en julio. Una racha del victorias en julio.
That's a win streak in July.
And that will send us adios. Nelson Figueroa Spanish Academy. And that says one word I know well in Spanish. Adios. Is there another way? I've learned que lo que from my lady at the coffee shop. Is like,
okay,
what's
first
up?
of all,
Que lo
you're
que?
saying it like it hurts.
Que lo que?
No. It's que lo que.
Que lo que? Que
There
lo
you
que?
go. It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Lo que.
It's all one word. If you ever meet Jose Reyes, drop a que lo que money.
Que lo que money?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
What's up, little brother?
Wow, I'm gonna sound so cool. Yo, Jose Reyes, welcome to the Academia. Que lo que money?
No, why would he be at the Academia now?
Well, he originated the Jose Reyes Spanish Academy. He began this program that we have entered.
Professor Reyes
on the show. Professor Reyes says adios to episode 159 of Amazing But True, our Mets podcast from the New York Post.
Thanks to you, Jake and Andrew Hartz and Nicolas Guzman, who's not Mexican, he's Ecuadorian, for producing the show and helping to produce the show. Make sure you give us a like, a follow, what's out now? Stitcher's gone?
Stitcher is no more, so it's only Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, as well as, of course, the New York Post Sports YouTube page.
Yeah, that's the best one to do it on because you get to see our smiling faces and see that Jake has pulled out all his hair. He had a full head of hair when we started the season. Make sure his bobbleheads are now just floating in the air. But make sure you follow us on Twitter. I am Figgy NY at Jake Brown Radio, the Amazin But True podcast as well. Jake,
Heads have restored.
Oh
Howie's is tougher to get on. Marte's goes on easy because he has like he has more of an accessible. You get it back on, whereas Howie, Jesus Christ, has no thing. It just has.
Pause.
Stuck. So for now, the win streak is on and the heads have resumed back on. But now it's time to win more. We'll be back, Figgy, on Friday morning. I'll be back, and you'll be back after the Padres series, which will recap the end of the first half. I mean, the first half of games over. The first half of the season will be over. And we'll look ahead to the second half of the Mets season, but catch up Friday. We'll see you hopefully after another Mets series win. Let's take 2 out of 3. And yes, the chicken parm was delicious. If you want to know, go get it. Shout out to my guy Jesse and the Caesars Metro Grill up there. Very good. But unfortunately, for now, we say goodbye to the churro nachos. Maybe they'll be in the suites. Who knows? We'll I'm like the Adrian Wojnarowski of City Field food updates. Like not even like none of the beat reporters know these things, but I'm important here. I provide the knowledge of the fans of what you're going to eat at the ballpark and what you're going to drink. I said the last show, milkshakes, I believe, are replacing the churro nachos. And I said, even milkshake isn't bringing boys to the yard. Underrated line, I thought on the last episode, if for the people who know this.
Yeah, but how do you taste? Jesus. Me.
Listen,
Good God.
I'm sure people will love the milkshakes, but not like churro nachos and quesadillas. It just doesn't hit the same. Well, hope you have a nice 4th of July and hope you all have a safe 4th of July.
Safe. Please.
Put the fireworks to the side. Let a professional shoot them up in the air. I'll be watching them up on my Darren Ruff top. Someone commented there like, why do you say rough? That's not how you say it. I'm like, it's a joke. I know it's roof. I know they didn't say roof, but roof isn't fun to say. Rough.
And don't go leaning over the edge, Jake.
Yeah. Rough comes from David Blaine. That's the sign to close the show. As Vicky's lights have gone out. The lights go out on Amazing But True. We'll close like we always do now that we have wins under our belt. Win 3 and 2 and 1.
Let's go Mets.
That might have been in unison after the delay. Have a safe 4th of July, everybody.